Aloha, it's Lola. Here in Chi-Town, the Windy City. Chicago is a bustling city with beautiful architecture, great food, and a lot of culture. So if you're thinking of traveling here during lockdown, this video's for you. Okay, well, it started snowing on us and I decided I'm going to record the rest of this video indoors, but it's kind of beautiful, right? So if you're thinking of traveling to Chicago right now in January 2021, Happy New Year, by the way. Here are some things to consider before you come here. First thing to note is that Chicago is under an emergency travel order, and that means that there are restrictions put in place based on where you're traveling from in the United States. Outside of the United States, I'm not actually sure what the rules are, so you want to check online for that. The states are broken up into color-coded categories: yellow, orange, and red. If you're coming from a yellow state, which right now is only Hawaii, which is where I came from, you are free to travel here without quarantining and without getting a COVID test, but you are required to wear a mask whenever possible and in places where it's required, and to social distance. If you are coming from a yellow state, that means your state has between 0 and 15 average daily cases per 1,000 residents. The next category is the orange category, and that means you have between 15 and Chicago's daily average of cases per 1,000 residents. People in the orange category are required to either get a test within 72 hours of you arriving here, and the test has to be negative, or you are required to quarantine for either 10 days or the duration of your stay if you're staying for fewer than 10 days. If you're coming from a red state, that means you have over Chicago's average daily cases per 1,000 residents, and you are required to quarantine for 10 days or the duration of your stay, and there is no option for you to get a test to bypass the quarantine. If you want to know if you're in an orange or red state and you're coming to Chicago, I will put the link in the description box below. Next thing, of course, in planning is you want to, of course, check with the airline restrictions for wherever you're planning to book your flight, because as this develops, certain airlines may end up having restrictions. So you want to make sure to find out what your cancellation policy is, if you can get a refund, if flights are canceled, if you can get a credit, etc., because that can certainly be an issue, and you want to just make sure to cover all your bases before booking any flights. Next up is hotel and lodging. There are various hotels that are open right now. Of course, there are certain restrictions as far as you must wear a mask and social distance once you're there, and you might actually be able to get certain discounts, and also make sure to check what their cancellation policy is in the event that you do have to cancel your trip. So you want to know, what could I possibly do once I get there, and is it even worth it? As far as indoor activities go, first I'll touch on restaurants. Certain restaurants and bars are available for takeout and delivery only. You cannot dine in at this time. As far as outdoor dining, well, it is snowing, so I don't think that any places are currently offering outdoor dining or that you would want to outdoor dine. However, I have seen at the mall these little plastic see-through cubicles where people can eat, and I think they fit about 2 to 4 people. I also saw them at the Lincoln Square, and I think those had enough room for 4 people. They were just this little enclosed spaces. That might be an option for you. With delivery and takeout, I also recommend calling the place or just checking a few different places online. We actually went to a place that Google said was open, but it wasn't open when we got there, and then we tried to order from them a few days later because we thought maybe just they were closed on that day. It was a Sunday, and we completed our order, but then it wouldn't process the payment. I don't remember what app or website we used, and then I called a few times and they didn't answer, so I'm guessing they're currently closed. So just don't trust Yelp or Google necessarily. They might not be updated as far as hours go of the place. You might have to give a quick phone call. Other indoor activities are shopping. The shopping mall is open and certain stores are open, but depending on how busy it is, you might have to wait in line outside because all the stores have a certain capacity and it is limited further due to the virus. They want to restrict the amount of people that are indoor in an enclosed space at any given time. Museums are currently closed, and also music venues. So unfortunately at this time you cannot partake in those activities in Chicago. All right, so now on to the outdoor activities. Certain places such as parks and zoos are available to a limited capacity and or with restrictions requiring mask wearing and social distancing. So you're going to want to check beforehand and make any reservations that are available well in advance. We actually tried to go ice skating at the Maggie Daley Park, but found out once we got there that you have to reserve your ice skates and your spot, and the next available opening was next Tuesday, and so I went ahead and reserved that. So check online, make any reservations you need. There are no refunds available, so if for some reason we decide we can't go or whatever, then the only refunds actually that are available, I should rephrase that, is if they have to close it down for any emergency, then they'll refund you, and they'll only do it on that day if I remember correctly. Now, the Maggie Daley Park also has other attractions such as wall climbing, a children's park playground, a tennis court, and rollerblading. But unfortunately, all of those other activities are currently unavailable, either because they're not in season, like the tennis court and the wall climbing are spring activities. But the children's playground, it seems, is closed due to the current situation, I think. I've been to other parks around here that were open, at least in October they were open. So just check ahead of time if you have children. Find out if certain parks that you would want to visit are open currently. While we were at the Millennium Park, which is also open, I saw signs around the perimeter saying that certain tours are available, so you just want to check with the company and find out if they're currently doing tours. And the Millennium Park, for example, is also open, but they have blocked off a lot of the entrances because they want to limit the amount of crowding there is, so you have to go in through certain entryways, and you have to wear a mask when you're around other people, and social distance as well. The Chicago Botanic Garden and the Morton Arboretum are also open, so those are things you can enjoy as well. It's really beautiful, even when it's snowing. I thought this was so beautiful. I mean, I live in Hawaii and I'm from San Diego, so I'm not used to being in snow. So for me, it was a real fun treat. Of course, I would recommend keeping hand, toe, and foot warmers with you at all times, and maybe getting some earmuffs, because otherwise it will be pretty miserable if you're too cold. Other outdoor locations that are available are the Lakefront Trail, and is available for exercising, walking, running. You must social distance. And the 𝗏ᴜꞶ is open for exercise and transit. 𝗏ᴜ➶ is an elevated park and trail. Another thing to note is that the subway is available. I actually took the subway last night and it was not crowded, luckily. I would assume that during the daytime, during the week, it might be crowded, and maybe even on weekends. So if you are planning to come here and take the subway, you probably want to be mindful of the time of day you take it and try to stay outdoors more so than in the subway if you can avoid it. When I went, there was no one monitoring people coming in and out of the subway. Rideshare and Taxi, of course, are also available. If you take an Uber or a Lyft, you are required to wear a mask, and it's recommended to keep your window cracked while you're in the vehicle. Something to note is that outdoor activities are limited to groups of 10 or fewer, so if you have a group bigger than that, you're not going to be able to hang out together. I don't know, as far as citations go, what the protocol is, but I would just avoid being in groups of larger than 10 people, including yourself. Personal care services are available, such as salons and tattoo parlors, with, of course, limited capacity and social distancing and mask requirements. Gyms and fitness clubs are also available, but you must wear a mask while you're working out, and of course, social distance. And libraries and other city services are available to a limited capacity. Again, you must mask and social distance. Lastly, but something that some people might need to know, is hospitals and dentists are open, but there are limited capacity rules, mask requirements, and social distancing rules. When I went to get a COVID test, I actually had to wait in my car, and then they texted and called me when it was time for me to go in. As far as hospitals go, they have certain restrictions as far as how many people can visit people in the hospital, and nursing care facilities are currently restricting visitors as well. So if you're coming here to visit a loved one, or if you yourself or someone in your party gets sick while you're here, just keep in mind that there are certain restrictions in place that can unfortunately make the whole process a little more challenging, or a lot more considering your circumstance. So just keep that in mind as well. So with all the restrictions in place, honestly, it might make more sense for you to hold off right now, unless you have family here you want to visit, or friends, or you like the architecture. The architecture here is really beautiful, and or you like cold weather and you want to check out the snow. I mean, for me it was kind of cool because I'm not used to that, but if you're looking to do a lot of exciting things, right now it's not the time to do it. But of course, if you really still want to come and travel those things that I mentioned are available, and then check online because you might find that there are other things to do. I don't know what their specific plan is for reopening past phase 4 and when it'll change. I think it's based on the amount of cases. So just keep in mind that when you're planning on travel, basically anywhere actually. And well, if you do decide to come to Chicago, I hope you do enjoy. It is a really beautiful city. I hope this video was helpful. If you did find it helpful, please like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share this video with other people who you think might find it useful. And I'll see you in the next video. Aloha! I didn't blink that whole time, that hurt. Hold on, let me do it one more time.